Copt Hall is a burnt-out Georgian mansion on top of a hill. You can't miss it as you drive around the M25. Look, there it is! Cool! Isn't it grand? There used to be a Tudor house called Copt Hall before that, and there's probably another building here somewhere before that one. So that's lots of archaeology. Through most of its history, Copt Hall was owned by rich, powerful people, and it must have made quite an impression on the surrounding area. The Copt Hall Trust want to find the old mansion, and they've asked us to come along and help, along with the local archaeology group. And we've got just 3 days. Hello? Hello? Does anyone know the code to get in? So, here we are in the gardens of Copt Hall. Neil, what are we going to do here?
Well, WEAG, the local archaeology group, have put in a few test trenches here and there, and there's one pillar still standing, so we know roughly where the Tudor house was. What we really want to know, though, is the exact position of the house and how big it was. We'd also like to know if there was an older building here, or if the original hall was somewhere else.
Great! So shall we do some geophysing? We've bought loads of equipment.
No, it's okay, I've done that. We have our own geophys gear. Look, we've got the results from this area just here.
What do you make of this? They're fantastic.
Not much point in me being here then, is there?
You can help us interpret these results.
Well, I suppose now I'm here, you may still need an expert. These pink features here, these are high resistance. They might be walls.
Great. Let's ring Mick and ask him which ones he wants to dig.
Hi Tony.
Mick, listen. We've got these geophys results here. Where do you want us to put the trenches in?
I can't actually see the results from here. Are they in colour?
Yes.
Right. It's usually a safe bet to put the trenches over the brightest feature and the one that clashes most with that colour.
So that'll be one here and another one there. Thanks, Mick.
I'm really not convinced that that's actually a building. I know that we won't know until we dig, but personally I would, it's not what I'd do.
Off we go then. Hello. Someone tell me what's happening in here.
Nothing really very exciting. Just
No.
find some references and
Maps and things. Maps and
references to Copt Hall.
Yes, look, Essex Record Office have got all these references to Copt Hall.
That sounds exciting to me. So what do we know?
Well, this book says that there was an estate at Copt Hall as far back as 1150, and the family there were the Fitzhawkers. That means archer to you, Tony. And they were huntsmen to the king. They think Copt Hall means hall on the top of a hill.
And it's on top of the hill. So why have we started to dig in the garden?
Ah, Tony, the top of the hill's where the new hall is, but the old one was halfway down. They wouldn't call it the hall on top of the hill, just on the off chance someone might build one there 600 years later.
They might have done.
The top of the hill isn't a very good place to build. It's too exposed and windy.
I noticed that. So why did they build a new one there?
No, there's a question.
Well, what's the answer?
Well, if you let us get on, we'll find out.
Well, I'm going to have a look at the lake on the map here, to see if it looks man-made.
A lake, you say?
Yeah.
Do you want some company?
Come on then.
We know that there's been an estate called Copt Hall here for almost 900 years, and that in Tudor times there was a really big mansion further down the hill which copped it later on. At the end of the 16th century it looked like this. A grand design for its day, although 200 years later it was demolished because it was old hat and the owners wanted a complete makeover, so they built a new house up here at the top of the hill where everyone could see it. It was designed in the latest fashion and the grounds were landscaped to look like parkland. Then in May 1915 there was a bit of a disaster because a fire destroyed the house and its contents. In case you were wondering, it was okay, no one was hurt. Over the years, Copt Hall has had its fair share of royal visitors. Henry VIII, for one, is supposed to have been here when he heard the cannon shot that announced Anne Boleyn's execution. Here and half a dozen other places, in fact, but at least he could have heard the cannon shot from the top of the hill, if the wind had been in the right direction. It still gets pretty windy up here. Bloody Mary was virtually a prisoner here before she became Queen, and Elizabeth I visited several times, which was no joke, what with all her court expecting to be wined and dined. Of course, that would have been the old house, not this one. So, where's this lake then?
Well, according to the map, it's just through these trees.
All I can see stinging nettles.
Well, there it is.
Looks like a pond to me.
Well, it was more impressive in Tudor times, but as you say, it's more like a pond now.
Bit of a letdown then. Wanted to go skinny dipping. I don't think I'll bother.
Then we've all had a lucky escape. Look, that's interesting. See those banks running along either side of the brook?
Where?
There.
These ones, you mean?
Yes. They look like they might have been for channeling water, so it could have been used as a power source.
Hydroelectric power, you mean?
Not back then. Maybe a water mill.
So that's a mill pond?
There's just one problem with that. The brook's running into the pond, not out of it. There are more banks over there. Look how straight it's running. And it turns a right angle corner and runs straight again.
Roman? They were good at straight.
We did the Roman big dig last week, remember? Now I think this could have been a square pond.
Good, wasn't it? And this week we're doing the Tudor big dig, right?
If you say so.
Meanwhile, in Trench 1...
Do you make sure that your legs are roughly the same length first, or do you fiddle with your knobs once you're upright?
I think it always helps if your legs are the same length.
Not if you're one of those mountain sheep. They always have two legs shorter than the others. Hey, get this. Looks like a bit of tile.
Oh, God, R. Here, that looks like one of them Roman roof tiles. You know, the curved ones. What do you call them?
Imbrex, but...
Yeah, that's the ones. Hey, how exciting would it be to find a Roman building here?
I'd be more excited to find a Paleolithic one.
Now, that's not really very likely, is it?
Oh, man's got to have a dream. Here, it's coming loose now.
I think I can just... There.
Hey, that's a good one. I'll just run this up to Mick and see what he thinks.
But, Phil, I really don't think it's anything...
Here, Mick! Look what Bridge has just pulled out of Trench 1. I reckon it's one of them Roman ibex things.
You found a goat. How do you know it's Roman?
How do you know it's a goat and not a sheep?
What are you on about? Who said anything about a goat? I'm talking about this here roof tile.
You mean an imbris?
That's what I said, Imbrex.
Well, didn't know the site went back that far, but I think we need another opinion. It's not really my era.
We'll call Guy. I told Stuart those banks were Roman, but he wouldn't believe me. I bet there's a whole villa there. Can you draw us one, Victor?
Well, yes, but is this all we have to go on?
Well, what do you need? They all look pretty much the same, didn't they?
An idea of where it was and the shape of the ground plan would have been useful.
Down where that pond is, where the straight banks are, it must have been there. Come on, I'll show you. Now, Guy's phone number.
Look, Nick, there's a farm here called Hunter's Hall. It's within the estate boundaries. So, do you think that could have been linked to an older Copt Hall site?
It could be. The Fitzorcas were huntsmen. It's worth a look.
And back in the trench, it looks like Phil and Bridge may have found a wall of the house.
I don't reckon it's Tudor. Might be a bit of Victorian garden wall, though.
How can you tell?
Tudor walls never had frogs in.
That wall sure as hell has frogs in it.
So much for that theory.
What do you think's going on in the ground?
Ah. Now, This here is very different to that there.
But it looks all the same.
All are, but when you're digging, you can feel the difference. Look. See how hard that is? And then this here, it's like a knife going through butter.
I'll have to take your word for that. I've never dug anywhere as solid as this.
Well, I reckon this must be a path. And this was rose beds or something.
What makes you think it's rose beds?
Well, I found this here rose, that's why. Here, well, you can have it if you want.
You sure know how to treat a girl.
See how straight the banks are? They must have been the walls of a villa.
It would make it very big. And what about the layout?
Blimey, Guy, that was quick. Now here's the man to tell us about the layout.
Now then, this looks to me to be very similar in size and shape to a villa I just happened to be looking at last week in northern Italy. If that's the case, then the original villa was here, with all the public rooms, you know, dining rooms, that sort of thing, the public rooms. That's it. Then another wing would have been added on this side with the private quarters, making it more secluded from the public part.
Bedrooms and stuff?
Yes, that's right. Later, as their wealth grew, they would have added another wing with the bathhouse over there. I think we know about bathing, Tony.
Foiled again. So, Victor, is that enough information to be getting on with?
Yes, I think so.
Saz. Meanwhile, Mick and Stuart have gone to take a look at Hunter's Hall Farm.
Look, there's the farmhouse.
Oh yes, it's been refronted in Georgian style, but look at that chimney, that's much older.
I wouldn't have thought it's much more than a couple of 100 years older, though.
That doesn't mean to say there wasn't a medieval hall here, though. The chimney could have been added later, and the walls under the Georgian front could easily be the old hall.
But there's nothing to suggest there was a medieval hall here.
Modern. Oh, well, absence of evidence isn't evidence.
Isn't evidence of absence, yes, I know. But it just doesn't feel right.
You're so pessimistic.
Look, there's a direct line of sight to the Tudor house.
Yes, so?
Well, I would have thought it would make more sense to build a satellite farm in the line of sight of the central manor than build a replacement house that far away.
But why not? If there was a Roman villa down there in the valley, they might just as well have come up this side to build a new place as the other.
What's to say that the villa had anything to do with Copt Hall, though? There's nothing Saxon here. Anyway, it might not have been a villa. I mean, we've only got one roof tile. I think it could have been a square pond.
You know how elusive Saxon sites are. I bet they were here somewhere. And if a medieval house was built on the same site, we'd never find it. Look at the geology map. This is the only decent bit of farmland on the estate.
Even more reason not to waste it by building a hall on it.
Well, it doesn't have to be exactly where the farmhouse is now. It could have been here where the land is poorer.
That would make a bit more sense, but it could just as well be in the same place as the Tudor house.
So that's 2 archaeologists and how many opinions? Now, John, at the beginning of today, you said these pink bits were walls.
No, I said they were high resistance. They might be walls.
But they're not, are they?
No, but the paths are rock hard and would show us high resistance.
But that's not what we've been looking for.
All the geophys can tell you is that there's high resistance. They can't magic up walls just because you want to find them.
I didn't think it looked like walls anyway, but would anyone listen? No.
Well, here we are at the end of day 1, and we seem to have an awful lot of unanswered questions. So far we've only found Victorian garden paths and rose beds where we hoped the house would be. But we now think there's a Roman villa down there in the valley. Join us after the break for day 2.
Are your old VHS copies of Grime Team 1 and 2 getting worn out? Have you lent them to a friend and never seen them again? Have they met a sticky end? Or has your VCR simply broken down? Well, all is not lost. Grime Team 1 and 2 are now available on a single DVD priced just £8. Order your copy today and it'll come neatly packaged in this jiffy bag at no extra cost.
Day 2. Last night we thought we had a fantastic Roman villa down there in the valley, just like this one that Victor's drawn for us. But Guy has some devastating news for us. Guy?
Well, Tony, as you know, I'm something of an expert on the Romans. In my new book, Roman Villa Tiles in Essex, I have identified 3 types of imbrex: the Upshire Rex Ridgeback, the Romford Umbria Ridgeback, and the very rare Saffron Waldonia Stickleback. And I'm sorry, Tony, but this is definitely not any of those, or any of the other 203 types known in Britain, which of course you'll find identified in my book, Roman Roof Tiles in Britain, Volume 2.
So what is it?
Well, it's not really my era, but I rather suspect it may be Victorian. Now, let me just check. It was found in the flower beds.
Phil says it's a rose garden.
The type of flower is irrelevant. I think it may just be a section of field drain. No later than February 1903, around the 10th.
I'm not sure you can date it that precisely. It may have been kept in storage for a while before being used.
So, no Roman villa then?
You got me out of bed to tell me that.
It's important information. It was my contribution that resolved the issue.
And that's a good reason to get me out of bed this morning. You.
Leave it alone. You know you should never talk to an archaeologist in the morning. They're not much good after lunch either. Come to think of it, just don't talk to archaeologists. Come on, Mick, let's go and see if Corenza's come up with something else interesting. And here's Stuart's Square Pond on a 1777 map. Corenza, what have you got for us?
Well, Tony, there's an interesting phenomenon over here near the gate. See how the driveway continues in a straight line through the gates and along this old road? Well, there's a theory that it's on the line of a prehistoric trackway.
Ooh, now that sounds interesting. We've got loads of them down in Somerset, but I hadn't realised you had anything that interesting or good around here. What evidence have you got?
Well, there are a couple of bogs just here, which they think were formed by the trackway acting as a dam against this drop in the land.
But how does that make it prehistoric?
Well, material from the bottom of the bogs has been carbon dated to 3000 BC.
Oh, so that makes it Neolithic.
Wow, now that's old, isn't it?
Yes, Tony, very old.
Even older than you?
Yes, thank you. I get enough of that from film, don't you, Stout?
I'll tell you what, do you want to do the cameo this time instead of Phil?
Yeah, about time I gotta go.
Hi, Steve.
Oh, you got a warrant? Oh, hi man, hi.
Steve here's an expert in clay tobacco pipes and has done an awful lot of experimental work with them, haven't you, Steve?
That's right, man, they're really cool.
So you're going to make us a clay tobacco pipe, just like the people who lived at Copt Hall would have smoked, and Mick's here to help.
What do we have to do?
Well, chill, man. Alright? Just, what's the rush?
I'll leave you two old hippies to get on with it then.
Who's a hippie?
So while Mick and Steve get on with their experimenting, Victor is painting a picture of how Hunter's Hall may have looked as the medieval Copt Hall.
Nyam Hissem.
And down in the trench...
My half seems to be getting smaller.
Well, feel free to encroach on me, won't
Now,
you?
now there's an offer you don't get every day.
Keep at it. You'll never find this building if you two keep messing about. Why are you using trowels? Mattocks are much better. There's nothing you can do with a trowel that you can't do with a mattock.
Here, oh, now then, look at that.
Hey, what's this?
It's clay tobacco pipe.
And it's all smashed to pieces.
Well, that would have never happened with a trowel.
You can't distract me with little bits and pieces like that.
How can you say that? That's really something, that is. I'm going to show this to Mick, I am. He's trying to make one of these things.
It's another bit of clay tobacco pipe.
Here, Mick! Mick!
What's up, Phil?
Look what just come out the trench.
Ooh, that's a nice one, that is. Look, it's even got the Copthall crest on it.
Oh, God, or so it has. Who'd have thought?
And here's the pipe with the crest on it. Meanwhile, in the incident room... Ah, Victor, avoiding the rain. Let's see.
Well, I was trying to.
Well, we can still see the colours.
Well, it doesn't really matter anyway. I've just found this reference to the deeds of purchase for the entire Hunters Hall estate by the Copt Hall estate, and they're dated to 1829. So that couldn't possibly have been the site of the original hall.
So where was the medieval building then?
Well, we've got this ground plan of the Tudor house, and I think this section here looks like a medieval hall. The proportions are right, and it forms part of the house, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was there all along.
So no other site to look for then?
Well, no, but I think I may have found out why the new Copt Hall was built at the top of the hill.
Well?
This is the site of the old Copt Hall, and here's the new one. This line running between them is the parish boundary. Now, it looks like there was a row between the estate and Waltham, and they literally moved the house to the next parish. Waltham even took Epping to court to try and get the taxes back.
So it was all a row over council tax?
Well, put simply, yes.
Who won?
Epping.
Who had the higher taxes?
Waltham.
Surprise. And in the workshop...
So, I have to roll the clay out to roughly the shape of the pipe.
Yeah, that's really good. You are natural.
Right, now what?
Now, you push this rod into the stem to make a hole.
That's a knitting needle.
Yeah, well, I lost my crochet hook.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. Now you put the pipe into the mould and squeeze the other half down on top of it.
So, how do we get the hole into this end?
Well, they'd have used a machine. But, well, I'll just poke the handle of this into it. It's okay. I can't afford steak. Yeah, but, you know, don't go too far, though. That's it, very good. Now you trim off the scraggy bits and take it out of the mould. Very good.
Wow, that's good. Now what?
Well, now we have to wait for it to dry.
While Mick was waiting for the pipe to dry, he decided to go to the bogs with Stuart. No, not those ones.
So these are the bogs then, and the theory is they're hiding a Neolithic trackway.
Yeah, you can see that telltale weird way that Neolithic sites have of making you imagine something very sacred may have happened here.
A kind of atmosphere, you mean? I thought it was just the smell of the bogs.
Yeah, but you get that sort of musty oldness around Neolithic things. You can feel it in your water, if you know what I mean. Now, if you look hard enough, you can see the deep meaning of the past as a ritual space.
That's all very post-processual, Mick, but if you ask me, you can tell whether it's Neolithic by the simple test of time in the landscape.
Post what?
Post-processual. Anything goes. When interpreting the past, even the opinion of idiots, charlatans and sci-fi writers have to be considered as being as valid as your own.
So, just a load of bollocks then?
Pretty much.
And that's why the presence of a Neolithic trackway would be shown by the way the land dips down from this bank. A clear representation of the ritual route to some nearby henge. Are there any henges around here?
Cursus.
Sorry?
It might be a cursus or something.
No, they are weird.
Most peculiar, but that's the Neolithic for you.
And if you look at the way these banks drop down into the bog, you find yourself drawn into its murky depths. Almost as if there are eyes pulling you in, deeper and deeper, to feel a resonance with a spiritual past.
I've never really thought of it like that before, Mick.
The Neolithic was weird.
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 And in the trench...
It takes forever to clean this stuff up. I've never known anything like it. Just when you think you've got there, another bit comes up and spoils it all.
Oh, God, Art. It's not like that nice chalk we've got back home. Gorgeous stuff. You know where you are with chalk.
You certainly know when you've hit natural with it.
Oh, there's nothing natural about this stuff. I reckon that's about as clean as we're going to get it.
So what have you got there then?
Well, I wouldn't like to say we're down to natural, but this is definitely different to the stuff that was above it.
Doesn't look natural, does it? Let's get in and have a look. No, it's not natural, it's definitely different. Okay, we'll get it cleaned up and recorded then.
How long's that just taken us?
Well, that's the last time he gets in my trench.
Oh no, look, he's dug up another tree root.
Oh, give it here.
Phil, was that meant to happen?
I don't think so, no. No.
Carenza has been making a timeline of all these finds to try to show when this part of the site was occupied. By sorting the finds into the right times, we'll see if there was any change in the type of activity from century to century to century to century to century. Some of the other members of the team have decided to help her out. But as you can see, the problem is that none of them seems to be able to agree with each other. Time to call time and take a strict line, if you ask me.
Hey, who's had my biscuits?
Well, I suppose that's a fairly safe bet. And in the workshop...
Hey, Steve, is this thing dry yet?
Oh, yeah, come on in then. Well, now we have to fire it.
Where's the kiln?
Oh, well, I use this.
A deep fat fryer?
Well, yeah, but, you know, kilns are, you know...
I know, expensive.
That's right.
So we just put it in here, like this.
Nice and careful now. Very good. Whoa. Well, that's it. Now we just wait until it's done.
What's going on?
We're just looking at these photos of Hill Hall.
I'm confused. What's that got to do with this site?
Hill Hall was built around the same time the Tudor Copt Hall was built, and to a similar plan. So it can give us an idea of what Copt Hall might have looked like if it hadn't been demolished.
But we've got pictures of the old Copt Hall, and they don't look anything like that.
That's because it was demolished.
Oh yeah, ha ha. I've worked that one out for myself.
Let me finish. If it hadn't been demolished and they decided to renovate it instead, that's probably what it would have looked like.
What we're trying to do is work out if there's a link between Hill Hall and Copt, where they're built, for example.
Where is Hill Hall?
It's just here.
Well, I'd have thought it was obvious what the connection was.
So what is it then?
Copt Hall is here, right? And Hill Hall is here. They were both built to overlook the M25. Though, well, that's the end of day 2, and I'm off to the pub.
Ever found something interesting in your garden, but just don't know how to identify it? Ever thought you might have found a rare Roman artifact, but just weren't sure? Well, now you can find the answer in my new book, Roman Villa Roof Tiles in Essex. And what's more, if you order the book today, you'll get volume 2 of Roman Villa Roof Tiles in Essex, sent free just as soon as I finished writing it.
Please note, may not provide information on all types of Roman roof tile, contains obscure academic details that the reader may find excessively tedious. No responsibility accepted for incorrectly identified roof tiles. Constructed from recycled documents. Due to the production process, pages are not guaranteed or will be the correct order. For use will be available at some time in future. Additional postage charge may apply. May contain nuts, or separately.
It's the beginning of day 3 and we've still got a long way to go. After we finished digging yesterday, Mick decided to visit Grime Team's old friend, prehistorian Francis Previous, to ask him about the Neolithic trackway.
Well, Francis, this is very nice.
It's just a little something I feel I need after working on a contaminated site. A good week of cleansing, sitting here, fasting during the daylight hours of course, and consuming only simplest of cooking by night. I find M&S extremely useful for that. Their ready meals are very simple to cook. Now then, what's all this about a Neolithic trackway?
There are 2 bogs here just by the road, and the ground drops away from the other side of the road. So the theory is that the road's blocking the flow of water and making the bogs bogs. And sludge from the bottom of them has been carbon dated to the Neolithic, but that was a while back now.
Yes, 5,000 years is quite a long time.
No, it's quite a while since the carbon dating was done, and it may not be accurate anyway. So we wanted to ask you if you think it's likely there was a trackway there, damming the water like the road does now?
Let's see. The road runs along here, just below the ridge, doesn't it? That makes it a prime safety route, high enough to see, but not so high that you'd be silhouetted against the sky.
So that bodes well for a trackway then?
It depends what kind of trackway it was. If it was an ordinary route, it would be perfect. But if it was a ritual trackway, well, that would depend on whether the rituals were secret or not. Have you found any human bone in the bogs? That would be a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway, eh?
No. We haven't looked yet. It's a bit, well, foggy really.
But you must. Seek and you shall find. But be sure to take this lucky blue elephant with you, lest events do not turn out the way you would wish.
Yeah, maybe we'll just send Phil along.
So we sent Phil and Guy along to investigate. How come he got sent to see Francis and not me?
You know, I'm not convinced about this Neolithic trackway theory. The road's too straight. There were about 80 bombs dropped down around here during the First World War. They thought they were bombing Waltham Abbey gunpowder factory. So I think this drop in the land may have been caused by one of them.
So what you brought me here for then?
Well, we need to see if there's anything at the bottom of the bogs that might give us a clue as to their age. That's where you come in.
You just don't want to get mucky, do you?
Of course not. I don't do that sort of thing.
So, well, what's a bucket for then?
Oh, wade out into the bog and I'll tell you. Now push the bucket down into the water, but don't let any water get into it. Now look into the bucket and tell me what you see.
I feel like a right idiot doing this.
Trust me. What can you see?
Well, nothing. What do you expect?
Put your head right down into the bucket and block the light.
What are you on about? No, I can't see a thing.
Show me the bucket. That's the wrong bucket. You should have brought the other one.
I was going to, but it had no bottom to it, and I thought, well, that's no good. Stuff will drop out of it.
No, Phil, it had a glass bottom, so you could see through it.
Well, how was I supposed to know?
Come on, you might as well get out then.
Oh, well, I'll be. What's this? Stone the Crows.
Of course, there was a Junkers 88 that crashed right here in 1942. It must have been that made the crater and formed the bog.
Here, do you think we should tell someone about this?
This area has always been under strict laws. From Saxon times, this part of the country was a royal forest. Under the laws brought in by the Normans, no land could be enclosed without permission, and only the elite could hunt here. In return, the peasants were given free grazing rights in the forest, but poaching was a hanging offence, and the occupants of Copt Hall often took on the job of upholding the law. Not much fun being a peasant though if you got caught.
Of course, the forest played a really big part in the history of this area. The land was so bad that nobody wanted to clear it for arable, but it was fine for grazing animals.
Well, that's right. The local farmers have had grazing rights in the forest going right back to Saxon times.
Mind you, the cattle would cause traffic chaos by wandering about in the road, and they used to create havoc with the middle classes when the suburbs were built. People would have to rush out into their front gardens and chase the cattle away.
Well, of course, you won't find that happening these days. Mad cow disease, foot and mouth. Oh, that's all put pay to them being allowed to graze freely.
And with EEC initiatives for growing wheat, there aren't any livestock farms here anymore.
Just as well, really. I wouldn't like to think I could bump into something that size. The pointy horns just around the next bush.
Well, actually, Mick, they've introduced a new sort of herd of longhorns to the forest.
But surely they keep them enclosed nowadays.
They don't look very enclosed to me. I don't think they like the look of your stripy jumper very much.
Here, what's up?
Bullocks.
Now, there's no need for that kind of language.
No. Bullocks. Horns. Cows. Back there.
Why don't you just open it, you silly old fool?
I'm getting too old for all this.
What are you doing down here, Phil?
Well, come here and I'll show you. Guy here reckons he knows how them bogs was formed.
That's right. There she is. It was like this. Here's the road, and all this is the forest. All nice and flat. Then in 1942, along come the Luftwaffe, and le voila! The bog's on one side of the road and a crater on the other.
Bolland. Shag fight.
Yeah, very good, Guy, but you know that the bogs and the drop in the land are shown on this Victorian OS map.
Oh, bugger.
Well, that was a wild goose chase you took me out on, wasn't it?
Here, hang on a minute.
So what have you found? Not a lot by the looks of things.
Here now, come on, look. We've got a Victorian rose garden with a field drain running right through it.
But no Tudor house.
All those bits of clinker in the bottom of the flower beds.
But still no Tudor house.
And they were a right pain to shift and all.
They're not a Tudor house, though.
We found some bricks.
That's true. 1 brick's a brick, 2 bricks are a wall, and 3 are a house.
But only if they're in situ, and these ones weren't.
So no Tudor house then? Neil, how do you think?
Well, disappointed, obviously, but I have to say I wasn't entirely convinced that the geophysics was showing up the walls in the first place. I think these paths were affecting the results.
Oh yeah, we got these bits of clay tobacco pipe too.
That's true. I wonder how Mick and Steve have been getting on. Have you managed to get a result yet?
What do you think of that then?
Oh, now isn't that good? Does it work?
Steve has this herb tobacco, and I figured that if it's herbal, then it's got to be good for you.
You want to try some of this?
Yeah.
You sure you want to try some of this?
Yeah. For extra strong mint.
it.
It's all too beautiful.
Hello?
Tony, where are you? I think I know how to get the position of the old house.
Hmm?
Tony? Come up to the incident room and I'll show you.
What was that?
It's a phone.
What did it want?
Wanted me to go to the incident room.
Look, Tony, look, see how this path here lines up exactly with Lodge Road? Well, that's this line here on the map. Now, I've projected that line through the house and I've plotted it on this plan here. Now, if we superimpose this onto the map, using the location of that pillar as the key, that should give us the exact position of the house.
Are the plan and the map to the same scope?
No. Obviously the map's in metres, but the plan appears to be in perches. So it's going to have to be converted.
Will this help?
Here! This parrot is no more.
It ceased to be.
It's a polygon. Carenza needs a perch to work out where the old hole was.
Perhaps you could climb a tree.
I think I'll pass on that one.
Done what?
We've located the old house.
Wow, let's see.
Look.
Yes, that looks right. Look, all those trenches we've been digging and right in the middle of the rooms. No wonder we couldn't find a damn thing.
Where's Phil? We've got to show him this.
I'll go and look for him.
I think we should all go.
Oh! Oh!
Well, let's face it, it was the obvious place to look. So what have we found? We've discovered a Victorian garden and even found a photo of it. It would have had roses growing in the beds and a sundial in the middle, and would have been a riot of colour in the summer. It would have had nice field drains under the soil and a lovely layer of clinker in the bottom. There was a big square pond down in the valley, but there was probably never a Roman villa there. Today there's nowhere really to take a dip, even if you wanted to, and some of us did. We thought we'd found the Neolithic, but that turned into a Junkers crash, which was a bit of a come down after we'd had our hopes raised. We found all these bits of pottery from the trenches. These 3 bits are very interesting. They came from a jar like this one, imported from Germany, which would have held alcohol.
Ow, that hurt!
We've worked out where the house would have been and dug some trenches right in the middle of the rooms where we might expect to find no masonry, and that's exactly what we found. And Victor finally comes to grips with producing an accident-proof picture of what the Tudor house might have looked like in its heyday. And it really does bear a striking resemblance to Hill Hall.
Hi Neil, what's the matter?
Well, I thought we brought all the equipment up from the site, but there seems to be a mattock missing.
Well, that's odd. Who wants to steal just one
Dunno.
matter? Look, we've lost Phil. You haven't seen him, have you?
No.
We think we found where to locate the old mansion.
That's amazing. No, I haven't seen him. Ah, but the missing tools.
You can never get him to stop.
Come
can you?
on.
Come on.
Well, here we are at the end of our 3 days looking for the old Copt Hall. We've found some lovely Victorian field drains, garden paths and a clay tobacco pipe. Mick got to take his clothes off, the lucky sod. And even though we didn't manage to find the old house on the ground, we did manage to pinpoint it on the map.
Tony, we know where Phil is. Come on. Here, Phil, we know how to find the old house.
Yeah, I know.
But how did you know?
I just had this vision of where to look. Look, I reckon I've got a bedroom over there. I've got the privy, and that bit there is part of the main hall.
Now that has got to be the biggest last minute find we've ever had. Goodbye. Are you sure that was only 3 days?
Up in the helicopter this time.
No, I really would have liked to. Maybe we can hire one?
Well, can't we find out on this here thing? Isn't there some kind of net that tells you how to do that? I mean, do you know how it works?
I think so. You click this. Helicopter hire. There we are.
Oh, God, that's good. Here, it says it's got 10 pages. Well, how do you turn the page then?
Don't be silly. You do it like this. Why do you want a helicopter?
Well, so we can see what the ground looks like from up in the air.
You don't need a helicopter for that. You look at this website and tell it where you want to see.
Hey, you come out of there. Now, what have I told you about talking to strange old men?
I'm sorry, Mummy.
Well, that's told you then, hasn't it?
Are we getting old, or are children growing up really fast nowadays?
Alright, are we going to go for a little run through, or we're just going to tape everything?
I'll tape everything in case you get it right first time.
Okay, right.
You know what?
Well, now you put the something or other in there.
You ready?
I can tell you worked at the VD clinic.
So, how do we get a hole in this end?
You haven't put it in the mould yet.
Yes, put it in the mould.
So how do we get a hole in this end?
You still haven't put the other half on top.
Wait for your line. You're going to ask me something, aren't you?
No, it's your line, isn't it?
You can say, oh, how do we get a hole in this end?
Oh, is that what we're going
Yeah,
for?
yeah,
So you can say it now.
Oh, how do we get the clay into this end?
Well,
No, no. How do you get the hole into this end?
Clay into this end. Oh, very good.
Don't wipe your beard off.
don't wipe your beard off. Great quote. Wipe that beard off your face.
Actually, this is a better one, isn't it?
Really cool.
So you're going to make us a cloak. So I'm breaking these teeth in for free.
Here, Phil! Phil!
Who?
Oh.
I'm confused. What's that got to do with this site?
Well, Hill Hall was built around the same time as the Tudor Copt Hall. So we're looking at a similar plan, so we can get an idea of where the Copt Hall might have looked like before it hadn't been demolished. That was a lot of...
It's very convincing one. The M25. Don't.
You've forgotten the line.
I forgot the line, yeah.
Right, can we exit again without Phil walking in on us?
I want to do another Hitchcock cameo shot.
Yeah, but you're not the director.
That's it, we've done it!
Well,
You haven't read those lines, have you?
No, that's
Done what?
Done what? I was just thinking, I don't know my next line, I was thinking. I'm stuck down here, I've got cramp in my ankles and I don't know my next line.
Okay, these are the next ones.
Went back that far. So, I'd like another opinion on this. It's not really my era.
It's no good, I can't see either of them. She's put that down on the script. And
Can you angle the clipboard up so that I can see the back rather than the front? You may want to stand up a bit. You're very sort of, yeah, you're looking very unnatural like that. Remember, Tony is really short. No, not that short.
Roman, they were good at straight.
No, we did the Roman Big Dig last week, remember?
So where's this lake then?
Well,
You've got your glasses on.
I thought I could see where I was going. Right.
And turn and take a picture. No! Of the hole.
Maybe we'll just send Phil along for that.
Right. Now, do you want to put your glasses
If you smudge it, take it off immediately. Otherwise it dries.
No, it does.
But you have to open your mouth when you're putting on mascara.
So far we've only found Victorian garden paths and rose beds where we hoped the house would be. But we now think there's a Roman villa...
Roman Valley in the villa?
Valley down there in the villa.
Valley, yes.
I was being so good!
You were being very good.
I was beating her!
Okay.
You know that line you got wrong? Here, Nick!
Stop. I'll just run straight on and try that again. Well, here we are at the end of the three...
It's the smoke, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, there was green string in there.
Didn't see it when we were looking.
Roman roof tiles in Britain, Volume 2.
So what is it then?
Livonia stickleback. And I'm sorry, Tony, but this is definitely not any of those, or any of the 200... Sorry.
I thought it's just a fall off and I've got my head down in the bucket. Right, how's that? I bet this beats Tony Robinson's worst jobs in history. He's never had to stand knee deep in a bog that's, well, I can't say the word in front of a young idea, but you know what it's, oh, every air pocket that comes up is pure methane. Okay, that's it. Well, it was your fault because you told me to get into that.
What did you do on November the 27th, 2003? So I've got to put it in this diary.
Blah, 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 blah.
I probably let off a good few farts because I've been down the pub.
And what time was that?
Well, I was there from the opening time, wasn't I? They do summer lightning. Disconsolate with what?
No pictures.
We've lost Phil. You haven't seen him, have you? I haven't got me a bit of paper.
That's amazing. Sorry.
So do you want to run through with the lines?
We're going all the way.
Or is that completely impossible?
Doing their bits too.
Are you capable?
No, see.
No. Okay, well you just try and giggle silently and I'll dub the other take over it.
No, but paths are hard rock and would show up as high resistance.
Rock hard.
Sorry?
Rock hard, not hard rock.
Oh. No, but the paths are hard rock. Rock hard. Heavy rock.
Makes good outtake.
Just talking as the real Neil Faulkner, there is really is a...
You're using too many hands for that.
Smell it. Nearly there, just behind the